What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Quality Talks podcast, and we've got a special guest with us today. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks.
You doing good?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going through the topics of conversation tonight, having Christine Pinto on the show as well. Time's flown by, so looking to hear what she's been up to. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it's been almost a year since we had Christine on the show, and there's been a lot going on. People. We were just talking before we came on air. Oh my God, we could be talking for 2 hours. We won't, we promise, but we could. So I think we should get Christine on and we should start talking and getting into everything because, yeah, there's a lot to chat about. So how are you doing, Christine?
I'm doing great. I am a little bit sleep deprived or whatever it's called in English. So I have not had so much sleep because we just launched our application after it's been so long in the making. But I'm very excited to talk to you two again. I also thought this must have been a year or something. All of it, we just started last year with all of this journey. I remember our conversation was still very light, and now I've been through the trenches, and now I can share what it has been and also what came out of it. So yeah, very excited.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we scheduled this in, I was like, I can't remember exactly when you came on. So I had a look, and it literally is almost bang on a year. I think it's like a couple of weeks. It'll be a year since you were last on the show, and we were throwing around some ideas. I remember Chris's brain was going mad. It's like all these different crazy ideas he was having. I don't know if you've built any of them into Wizzo, but maybe if you have, Chris, you might be able to pull some out and go, oh, that was me. Yeah, who knows? But Christine, I mean, obviously, we want to talk about Wizzo, the new release, which is amazing from Epic Test Quest. Still a mouthful. ETQ, are we going with?
Yeah.
ETQ,
yeah. ETQ is faster and easier, yeah.
Yeah, because I struggle getting my tongue around those words. So ETQ, I like ETQ. So obviously Wizzo launched this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
yeah, with a big. Well, we cannot say launch. We should say he graduated this week. So we actually decided to not have a launch or a launch party. We did a graduation party. Because now Wizzo learned everything, he is trained, and now he will go on to get his work experience in different companies. And also it's been a graduation party we decided to do it with our community. It was an invite-only event, and basically we had 30 people who showed up and enjoyed celebrating what we all achieved in this over a year path and journey together. And it was very, very good. Yeah, it was very fun. It was we missed you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I think you need to do another graduation party, like a follow up, and then I'll be there definitely. So
you all heard it. I will make that count.
Yeah, all three of our listeners heard it right now. That's and we've got more than 3 listeners. We've got quite a few.
Yeah, definitely.
Our subscribers have grown quite a lot since the last time we came on, Christine. Up to almost 350 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
I know, right?
Oh, that's incredible, yeah.
Today we hit 150 followers on Spotify.
Wow.
3,500 downloads on Spotify, almost 30,000 views on YouTube. Yeah, all since you came on the last time, obviously. Most of those are for your episode.
Definitely. But then how long, because you're more than a year now, is it already, then when is it going to be the second year? When did you got live? I forgot about that. May. So, yeah, wow. So it's also, it's been a journey. It's definitely, I still listen. I will be very honest with the time crunches I have. I most of the times listen to the small bites you have out on LinkedIn and stuff like this. I am not able to listen to the whole episodes because time is difficult to get by, let's say it that way. But yeah.
I understand. Now, what you could do is when you go to bed at night, you could just put them on, subconsciously listen to them while you sleep.
Oh,
see?
I see. That's the trick to get all your voices constantly in the night. I will try that out.
Me and Stu read bedtime stories to all our listeners. I don't think they get very much sleep, that's for sure.
That could be a new concept for another show, though. Let's have a think about that one. Christine, I think you need to talk and showcase Wizzo, right? So let's start by you selling Wizzo to the world right now. And then let's flow into what that journey's looked like over the last 12 months. How about that?
That sounds good. That sounds good. Well, we are working, like, as it's also in the startup, you work on taglines and marketing lines. So let's see if my pitch is going to be good, because I'm still working on that as well. But basically, Wizzo is your AI quality companion that helps teams ship with confidence by turning team discussions into clear, reliable test suite without adding another tool. Right in Slack, where your team already works. And that's basically hopefully, which we clip in as a short intro, or I clip it in myself.
Yeah.
But it's all about that we want to solve a problem, which is all about team isolation. Like, the QA is most of the times isolated, and also most of these LLM tools are isolated as well. So we're bringing on the one side the team collaboration. So we want to really take team conversations, because Wizzo is on the one side facilitates, we call the quality parties. So team conversations all around the product, the feature, around, for example, gap analysis, customer scenarios, or maybe accessibility testing. And on the other side, we also have a companion mode, we call this. That's why he's the quality companion, where you have a chat with Wizzo. But different to other LLMs, it's not just giving you the answer, or it's not just saying, oh yeah, it's so great, so awesome. We really try to make it in a way that it's conversation with a senior QA. So you really have somebody who not just, Wizzo is not thinking for you, but Wizzo helps you to uncover things, helps you to also learn. Especially, we had a lot of trial runs around security and accessibility. So the main goal is also not just functional tests. Yeah. It's really all these other areas, integration, security, accessibility, which are very, very important, but often forgotten. It's just what it is. I'm very honest. I also forget accessibility quite often. I know that 80 Stokes will just hit me right now. Why you keep forgetting it? But it's very important. And Wizzo is there to help you also look into these areas, because these are the areas which are risky. So we are there to, also, we are not a classical test management tool, and I will put that in quotations, because we see ourselves as a quality management tool to not create 1,000 test cases you can run every release and you have to maintain every release, because that's not going to be there. It's going to be AI-powered software development. Changes will so fast happen that you cannot have a test suite of so many test cases. No, what you have is you have in the beginning a quality discussion, a quality party, figuring out what is the biggest risk with your team together. Like, you can imagine like a risk storming, like a little bit what we do with a card game, this kind of situation, which we're also going to build in the next features as well. It's right now just small, but it's going to be its own feature in it as well. And then out of this, the software development is happening with all these 5,000 coding agents, which we don't do. That's somebody else doing that. And then it comes back. The release is ready, and then you and Wizzo sit there and say, okay, Wizzo analyzed all the PR, all the code changes, analyzed all the test automation reports, because as we will be all honest, say this is going to increase. Like, we used to have, like, when I did test automation, I had maybe 100 tests running. We are now with AI-powered code. This is like thousands of tests. Maybe instead of 10 minutes goes an hour, and you don't have the time to check them all. Or like, even if you have the time, you're going to get crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure you two, what is like your longest test suite you ever had back in, or like maybe even now? I don't know if you're already AI powered.
So in terms of number of tests.
Yeah, like how many tests is normally a test suite for you for production? It's very important, not just for, like, I know normally you have some smaller test runs and bigger test runs, but how long does it normally take? Because I try to always be, but I work for a lot of startups, so it means also not so much legacy code. I try to be by 10, 15 minutes, but I also never worked in like really critical phases like health tech or anything like this. So that was always okay, but I know there are way more.
Yeah, so the biggest test pack I've ever worked with, and we ran all these tests as a regression suite, 2,500 tests.
Oh.
I know, 2,500 tests. And anybody listening to this that worked with me knows exactly where that was. I'm not going to say. But we had a team of, I think it was like 5 people, five QAs, five test analysts at the time. And we all said, right, we take 500 tests each and we run them, because we didn't even have automation at that point.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest test suite that I've ever worked with, where all the tests were run. I've had bigger test suites where partial sort of subsets have run, but yeah, that was hard work.
And for me, I don't think I can actually like remember the amount, but I've definitely worked where we've looked at a repo, in our automated test suite, especially at the more like bloated side, like, you know, more flaky and more time consuming to run, like in terms of the UI and stuff, have been heavily bloated and didn't necessarily need to be. But, you know, many companies end up in that situation, right? But yeah, definitely been there and had that struggle.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That all of these LLM tools, that it will get more. Hey, the thing is, they pride themselves to create more and more and more and more. But in the end, you just end up with maybe also important ones, but a lot of noise as well. Right? And then who checks that noise?
And also you lose confidence, right? Like you would think that the logic would be the more tests you add, the more confident you're going to become. But actually, like, it gets to a certain point where it starts to diminish, and actually it gives you anxiety, because then you've got like, oh my God, who's checking all this? Like, what happens if something goes wrong? How do I find where it is in all of these tests? Or who's going to like maintain these long term? Like, becomes quite stressful as well, right?
It's a really interesting.
No, continue.
I just wanted to build on that, because I find it really interesting, because a lot of the talk around AI in testing specifically is around efficiency. We can be more efficient, we can write more tests more quickly, but nobody really talks about being effective, right? Yeah. So I can be really efficient doing completely the wrong things.
Yeah.
Right. Just ask my wife. Right, she'll tell you, I'm being really efficient doing this. Yeah, but you need to be doing that. That's the thing you need to be doing, right? You're not being effective, and that's the thing that concerns me. And I guess with Wizzo, how are you dealing with that side of things?
Yeah, the goal is basically. So on the one side, we are not dealing yet with test automation. We will deal with reports, because my main goal was really, because there are so many AI tools going, we're going to replace all these automation engineers. We're going to write you 1 million tests and yada, yada, yada. I didn't want to go that way. I don't believe any of these tools will ever replace you. And I'm pretty sure I said that last time as well. AI will not replace us as long as products are consumed by humans. Product has to be created by humans. There is support and efficiency or effectiveness gain, however you want to see it. Like you said, it's more efficiency, not effectiveness. And what Wizzo is doing, it's basically, because I believe that it's just, we're not able to work with these like legacy test cases anymore. It's not possible to take that time during the sprint, writing all of these tests. It's just not possible, because the turnarounds, like features, are not taking 2 weeks or 2 months anymore. Features now take like a couple of days. So what we have to have is Wizzo helps in that situation. It can only work if you basically go the whole flow with Wizzo. So you have to go in the beginning because I think that is very important. A lot of people missing this now with this AI-powered software development. You cannot skip the requirement part. Right? It's very, very important, because if you give a one-liner to a brigade of, 50 agents, you're definitely going to get something, but I am pretty sure you're not going to get what you want. Let's say it that way. I'm not sure. Did you have that experience as well? Did you try vibe coding so far with any of these beautiful tools?
I've tried bits and bobs, and even like when you ask, AI the same question multiple times, you're getting different things back. And to your point, like, you need to be very, very descriptive with what you're asking. And the more context that you can give it, the better the result's going to be, and it's going to deliver the value that you want. But if you don't put in the time, then it's like a magician's game. Anything could pop out the hat.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's why we need Wizzo in the beginning, who helps when it comes down to the requirements. We actually also want to implement, and that's on the agenda list. I'm not sure at that point when this already goes out. Hopefully it's out already, that we also scan the tickets. So the Jira ticket, we already can pull in the Jira ticket, but we're not grading them yet. The future will be as a QA with your experience, because it is just, we as QAs have tons of experience, but these AI tools are not made to basically help us make our work more effective. No, they're there to replace us, which is stupid. So I believe in extending us, helping us to also think about all these points. So you're going to tell Wizzo, okay, this is the definition of done. Hey, this is the definition of ready. This is the definition of ready to test. All of these definitions. And then Wizzo is going to take in, because the ticket got created in maybe in GitHub, maybe in Jira. We're also going to extend to other tools, and then scans this, analyze it, and say, okay, you decided your definition of ready. Ready to start has to be at least 80 or 90%. If it's not, I'm going to ping you. And I'm not just going to ping you. I'm also going to start a quality party. Right now, the pinging and the scanning does not happen automatically, but it will. But now how you do it, you take your ticket, you talk in the companion mode over this ticket because we're pulling it in. We have the context of your product and your feature because you started putting it in, or you let us scrape maybe some documentation. And then and that's the really important part, which I think we just go so much different than the other LLMs. I'm not just giving you the answer. I'm not just telling you, hey, this has missing this. No, I'm going to have a conversation with you. I'm trying I think you had as well. I had also mentors. Mentors don't just tell, or even senior QAs, I'm not just giving you the answer. I'm like, have you thought about that? Have you think about that? Because also the LLMs have so much knowledge, but they are wrong as well. So in this kind of approach is also, we are expanding to different areas. And then you decide, okay, is this area right now important? Is it not? Maybe you already fixed this. And then at the end of the companion mode, you have a full, beautiful conversation, and then you start a quality party. So Wizzo takes all of it, what you just talked, puts it as a summary into a Slack thread. And there, the goal is that the team communicates with each other, because that's how I used to have it. I used to write a test case in my team. And I will be very honest, I work for a crypto company. It will be always, I think, until the never-ending time, the example. They took a risk on me because I was not an industry expert in crypto. I was a very much expert in test automation. And I had no idea how to do crypto testing. So how it works, I write my test case, I write my I'm thinking about, okay, how can I automate that? And I go into my Slack thread and ask, okay, so this is my idea. What am I missing? And then basically, Wizzo, because I also find that it's easier when a third-party tool starts some of these conversations, because I'm pretty sure some of the listeners also experience that if you always start conversations in Slack, at some point you might also get ignored. Hey, as well as I think we are very honest here with each other. We know that not every developer or PO wants to listen to but if it's a tool, it's different because everybody can initiate. So Wizzo starts a quality party, how we call it. And then there it's a summary, and it basically starts with 3 open questions, which we can start as a discussion starter. And then the team can decide if they're going to do it or not, and the team can discuss. And what the beauty is that you can also mention Wizzo. If you're unsure about maybe regulation, if you're unsure because we know already the context, you talked already with Wizzo and all the other contexts, then hopefully at the end you aligned your team. That's the goal. That's also what we tested in the flows. You aligned your goal. That's also the things I always did in these conversations. And then out of this, you would create test cases. But test cases who then live for this feature, which most of the times is then ready in 2 days. And then for this feature, we export that to GitHub, because that's normally where the source of truth is. We are going, and that's very important, we are not creating 1,000 test cases. We are creating the most critical risk-aware test cases, because your test automation suite will cover a lot. But as long, and I'm pretty sure you both also experience this, as long as it's things like money is involved, human life is involved, regulations are involved, you want to have a human looking over this. And then basically you, and that's also not just you, but also the developer. Right? For me, it's really important because I know, and I'm pretty sure you have this as well. You have to give me feedback on this, because I always think about, am I just really worked in like weird cases? I know that everybody always says, shift left, and do our test automation. And when it comes on to manual testing, the QA does the manual testing. But I've been in so many releases and so many launches that in the end, like the release is planned in 3 hours. Most of the times you have 5 or 6 developers and 1 QA. Not this, the 1 QA is testing. The 5 to 6 developers need to test as well. And then you as a QA have to first think about, okay, how do I introduce it? Because it comes again down to the maturity of the team. Hey, if the team has a lot of maturity, and it's been also a lot, there is not so much introduction. But if it's not, you need to really write down test cases. And that's what Wizzo helps. It helps you to write that down in the context awareness, so they can do that. They can test it. And you can also then, with the next part, we're also going to have testing charters, which I'm very excited for, because I'm working with some exploratory testing experts as well to write this as well, to go into that journey. But now, have you experienced this as well, or am I just a weird case?
I was listening to you there, Christine, and you might have seen I was just taking some notes, because you were just you were firing my brain again when you were talking there.
Chris's brain fires all the time.
I think you touched on a really important point there. So, with Wizzo, you're using this AI tool in order to start the conversation. And I think one of the really important points, I think, of this, and it might have been thought about, or it might even be overlooked, is that, in the workplace, and a lot of the time how humans interact, we sometimes will hold back as individuals because we fear judgment and criticism and humiliation and stuff from a human, but when you come to talk with AI tools, it's more accessible because the AI tool is non-judgmental. It's just purely there to understand. And I think that's when that ties really nicely into the coaching and mentoring aspect of a tool like this, because it's there to first understand what your problem is and what context you can provide it. But then it makes it's a really nice experience as well, because like say, not everybody had the opportunity to go to college, university, but now you've got your own lecturer at your disposal. You also, not everybody's had the experience of having a great mentor in the workplace, but everybody has that accessible opportunity again now. And then you can, through using the tool, not only do you, like you were saying, it's not going to replace it, it's there to, give us the right insights, accelerate the way in which we produce things, allow us to focus on the things that are actually going to help us grow as individuals, not the stuff we already know. So it's two parts to that, right? You can accelerate what you do on a day-to-day basis within the business, but then AI is actually supporting human intelligence. And that was, me and Stu's touched on this, and I've always said, what is the impact down the line of artificial intelligence potentially having a negative effect on human intelligence? But I think when it's used in this way, it actually accelerates and it doesn't detract from the human experience. So again, you were just saying so many things, and I was just like, I just want to get this out.
I think
I love it.
You summarized that very well. I love that. I have to definitely cut that out also for me.
We'll clip that bit as well, Christine. We'll send it to you.
Definitely. That's a lovely summary. I think you touched exactly on these points. Yeah, it's if you always get the LLM tools telling you what to do, telling you, okay, this is the function, telling you all, you just not learning this and you will forget this. And then we just gonna be the ones who type the words in the LLM and the LLM just does it. And then exactly that's the question, okay, where does this go? And the problem is it is always what I believe, and I still believe that, and I hear that in other ones as well. We cannot forget what the LLM learns on it. Yeah, it's the whole internet. We know in the whole internet is not just a very best practiced follows code, it's also a lot of not good code. Hey, that's why we also know one of the studies I read is that secrets are exposed to Copilot, like roughly 19% of when they tested something. And if you it was 1.9%. But if you accelerate it of like the millions of GitHub repos, which can touch, it can be over 1 million if you put that in there. So it is this, if you replace your, maybe I should not put my API key directly in plain text in there. But if you don't even think about that, you just let the AI and the AI learn from bad examples or whatever examples, or maybe they learn from documentations. I don't like, there's so much. And I love this, like, it's not, if the LLMs are used how they are right now, they're making us dumber. It's just, you called it so nicely, human intelligence, but it's the effect.
Well, I liken it to if you've got kids and you're helping them do their homework all the time.
Oh yeah.
They're not learning anything. You're just doing your homework. And I had this conversation with my daughter the other day. She's like, Daddy, can you help me with this? I said, I can sit with you and walk through it with you, but I'm not going to show you how to do it. And that's essentially what people are asking AI to do all the time. And actually, they don't know if the answer is correct or not. They're just going, okay, But one of the things I'm interested in understanding a bit more, Christine, is obviously, I'm assuming, and obviously, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you've had to give Wizzo some sort of persona. So you've talked about it as being a senior quality engineer or that sort of thing. So have you built that persona into Wizzo?
So that, So it's it's not just a QA expert. It's also whimsical and magical. So yes, we have not taken that away. So it's still also a little bit. We had to turn it down a little bit because there were some I would say misunderstandings, which I also understand. It's still English as a second language can be sometimes also for me. Sometimes I'm reading these beautiful magical things and it's like, what is it now? But still, it mainly is quite friendly and professional. But I made it clear in all the. So I'm having a mixture. I'm having a mixture of really programmed code who puts in clear structured rules. Also, when I'm taking the end, like the things, the prompts you giving us, I'm analyzing that and also grade this as well already, what it could be to also predefine. Then we have two messages to the AI to like also figure out, okay, do you need help right now? Do you need assistance, or do you need just also clarification? Because that's also very important. Hey, if I'm having a junior QA, so that's also one of the next things we're going to put in, is really that you can have a profile. Because if you are a junior QA, I would also like to treat you differently than a senior QA, because there is a little bit, like a junior QA would way more appreciate more explanatory, like more why I think this would be good. We have right now like a medium, so it touches into both sides, but I would like to have profiles to have that as well. That's also on the feature list. And yeah, it is a QA expert with the goal that it doesn't tell you the answer. Let's say it that way. The goal, and
it's more like a coach.
Yeah, the goal
is. Does it actually say? Does it ever go? What do you think?
So it is. So I have to. So because I'm testing it so many times, I'm not sure where it is right now. But yes, it does. So it doesn't say it direct. It's more like it asks you a question. So when you give a statement, so here, this is the ticket XYZ. I have to create. I'm looking for edge cases. It basically tells you what from the analysis what it is, but it still asks then, okay, but what do you think is the highest like risk you think? What do you agree with what the flow I'm describing? So it's always that's at least what we try to do. Always 2 to 3 statements, related statements, and then always one open question to see, okay, are you agreeing with me? I really tried, and that took a lot of back and forth testing. I really tried to make it in a way that it doesn't assume so much, which is very hard with a hallucinating AI. But I really tried it to in the way that you're not assuming, it's always clear that you have to clarify. It's a lot of clarification. So the AI really clarifies a lot with you before it does any statement. So I asked actually quite a lot back and forth. But from my beta testing, I heard security challenges were solved, which weren't solved before, and some other things, which is like, I'm super excited that happened actually. Brilliant. So, but I wanted to, because I forgot one thing, because Chris mentioned the collaboration. And I also believe and that was one of the things, when you see AI as a neutral part, basically. But if you have an AI in your corner, right? If you have an AI, and that is Wizzo is in your corner, Wizzo, and I put it in everywhere, quality is the highest important thing. Never go against this like one rule of thumb, quality, we have to keep up quality, right? So the Wizzo will always be in your corner. So when there is some conversation in your team, and like you said, you might be embarrassed to ask that one question, or maybe what the developer just suggests might have some issues with some regulations. Well, you don't need to point it out that way. You can just say, at Wizzo, is there maybe a regulation we need to pay attention to? Then you don't say that, but Wizzo is then pointing out with also context, yes, there is a regulation maybe in the Accessibility Act or somewhere that we need to pay attention to. And I learned this so interesting. The customer discovery calls were also like this, that people told me, my stakeholders are now using AI and they trust AI more. They're coming to me and say, I should do this and this and this, which is like, but you know the product, you know it doesn't work. Yeah, but they didn't get. So it is Wizzo, hopefully, but it is already. People see the AI as the all-knowing, but now you have a QA AI, which is in your corner, which hopefully helps exactly with that. It's this it's not just embarrassing, it's also this like, do I really know? Sometimes you also heard, like we as QAs, like we listen to podcasts like yours. We're reading articles. We are in community meetings. We're getting so much, like especially now with, like I'm pretty sure you feel the same as well. I'm reading all of these news of OpenClaw and all this other security and and I'm reading these things and I always think, oh God, million lines of code. How much is it? I think 600 commits a day. And it's like, oh my God, does anybody checking this? And this goes in my head, and that's why I have so much knowledge. But when I have that in the team discussion, it's like, am I actually remembering it correctly? Because maybe you doubt yourself, especially, and that's why I wish I had Wizzo when I was in this cryptocurrency. I just didn't know. For me, I treated this like, I worked in fintech before, and for me, finance tech, we do a transaction, boom, boom, done. No, in crypto, everything is on blockchain. Blockchain works different. I didn't know. So it's just like that. It's like, what did you last read about the new AI? Beautiful stuff in test automation. It's like also so much stuff. What does keep you up right now with all the information you get there for your project?
I like what you said just literally a couple of minutes ago. You give an example there of, say, a QA in a team, and you're asking Wizzo for like an idea. So basically, do we need to? Is there anything that we need to be aware of in terms of like guardrails and things that we need to look at? And if you were to ask your team that, it's such an open-ended question. Like, people might just be like, "Nah, there's nothing we need to look at. We've got everything covered." But by asking Wizzo first, it then gives you maybe a detailed breakdown of the types of things you need to look at. Then you can ask Wizzo, well, why do we need to look at it? Why is it so important? So then the next time you go and speak to your team, you're not saying, is there things that we need to look at? You're saying, we need to look at this because of X, Y, and Z. So you bring impact through context. And then it's a much more powerful position to start a conversation and get people invested and on board, especially in our industry. Risk analysis is key to many things. So being able to start the conversation and have that context that you might not have necessarily had before, I thought was like a really important point. And you touched on Wizzo as well, like the persona element of Wizzo, and I wrote a little point down there. Like, I liked how you mentioned about the understanding of its target audience. So if you are a junior, you might get different conversations going backwards and forwards than what you would at a senior. I think that's just like a really nice point. But you mentioned having some, rules and guardrails where Wizzo isn't just based on transaction. You ask it something, it gives you it, and that's the end of the conversation. Like, there's a prompt.
That's how it sometimes feels, huh? When you work with the LLMs, it's just like, here is it.
Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
What now?
You don't necessarily sometimes know what to ask next, right? Because it's give you, and you're like, where does the conversation go? But because it's bred to be conversational, it leads you on to what might be the next question. And a simple finishing prompt to ask you a question could uncover so much more. So I thought that was really nice as well. And, it might be a case where there's more questions being asked from a junior than a senior. Because to your point before, you don't want it to constantly make assumptions, right?
I just want to.
I have to first. I definitely want to have these cuts of Chris. Chris is the new explanation. Like, you make awesome notes. Better note taking than any of these tools, and then basically frame it very well. I really like. I have to somehow get the transcript afterwards and use it. Yeah,
he's got such a lovely accent.
I didn't think about that. Oh yeah, that's like, you just want to listen. It's like yeah. It's very,
exactly.
Very,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to pick up on that, because you mentioned there before. Chris gave his really detailed thoughts, and which were great. You asked what keeps us up at night with regards to AI. So there's two things. So in a recent episode I did with Ash Gawthorpe, who's our CTO at 1010, and we were talking around a tweet that went out before Christmas, and the guy that wrote Claude, he posted that the last version of Claude was all written by Claude. So the latest version of Claude, every single line of code Claude wrote. And that for me is what keeps me up at night, thinking, okay, great. Who's checking all of that, right? And then the other thing that doesn't really keep me up at night, but frustrates me, is this term of human in the loop, right? And the reason I say it, and I'll explain, it's because it's almost like, go on AI, you do your thing, and if you need to come and tell me anything, just keep me informed, let me know what's going on, but you crack on, it's fine. Whereas what I'm hearing with Wizzo is it's automatically asking you to interact, and it's looking for human oversight, and I keep using the term oversight rather than in the loop, because that's what we do, right? When we talk about collaboration and we talk about having conversations with our developers and getting our QAs involved earlier in conversation, we're not saying keep them in the loop. We're asking them to be part of conversations so they can have oversight and try and help build quality in. And this is exactly what this is doing from an AI perspective. So for me, looking and hearing what you're saying, ticking those boxes for me in terms of the things that I'm worrying about. It's starting to take some of that worry away if you were to utilize this tool in this way.
Yeah, it's I think I like the term oversight because yes, that's what it is. Because yeah, it's like I said, we are not replaceable. As long as we are the consumers of the products, you need us to create the product as well. And yes, I am a big fan of Claude Code. I'm very, very honest. And I'm very honest that I use my setup, which I can also go into with multiple sub-agents, multiple tabs, orchestration, and a lot going on. And I reach regularly, not just the 5-hour break, also the weekly when it's like going to like 9. And I even figured out, I reached last time again, and this time we were really like still like half a day in front. So the 100%, it shows you 100%, it even tells you 100%. I could still squeeze out more tokens. So I'm not even sure if Claude actually tested it for itself that it was still working, because it said down there, oh yeah, you reached 100%, but I could still have my conversation. It's still going on. So it's see, that shows, huh?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The issue, I don't have. The thing is, and that's the interesting thing, because I'm using these tools, and I'm using, but the thing is, I'm using them with a QA lens. So like I said, the requirement stuff before, but also, for example, none of the code which gets created from Claude Code is ever immediately, here, commit interest. Never. I always ask specific things from like the keywords you have to use with think hard, ultra think hard, and like all these things. But also I always ask for implementation. And the thing is that I don't know if when the creator of Claude says, oh yeah, all lines are written from Claude, I have no problem with that, but afterwards checks are run from people to actually, because I am there when they do these updates. I was very frustrated with the last update because multiple things, and that's really nice that they now have Excel integration and all this stuff, but I just wanted my bloody MD file. I just asked it to do something. Out of a sudden, it created a Excel sheet and then a Word document. And I was like, no, I don't. I just want you to give me this MD file that I can put it into. And so yeah, that's always the question: which customers they're looking for, and that's the problem. Hey, they again maybe had good ideas in the beginning, then it programmed everything, but then who is the one actually checking? Okay, these are actually our personas, our people who are actually using this. And Wizzo is there to. We have a persona feature, which is also one that's, I have to say, that's one of the features which came from our community as well. So we have, and I have to run this in as well, we have a called Council of Heroes. So that's a group of 8 people right now, and we are still going as well, which we meet bi-weekly, and where we have conversations like basically the conversation I have with you two right now, and share what is our current ideas, but also they share from the things they've been through the last 2 weeks, maybe new AI developments. And one of the things was because I remembered I used to do a little bit persona testing way back then, but then I worked in a lot of startups, nobody knows their personas are there. But a little bit more mature companies knows what personas are there. So they said, we would need a persona because we have customers in the US seeing something different than customers in the EU, for example. So that came through that. And that's also what Claude has not done. They didn't think about their personas. And with these million lines of codes and automation, and we need that human oversight. And I believe also, and I'm not sure, what keeps me up is when I read, this is the one-person company. I am one person and I have 500 agents, which is like, that one person has such a bias to whatever they think is correct, and all of their bias will be fed in by the LM. You are awesome, you're great, you're doing all the right things. But you need a team, even if it's just 2 or 3 people, but you need that team to bounce off and also figure out what am I missing? Because the way the LLMs are pleasers, if we're very honest, all these LLMs are pleaser. Wizzo tries to not be a pleaser. It's still an LLM behind it, so it's just, but the way I programmed it also is really to like make it that they can uncover it, help them uncover it, give them the advice, and that's one of the biggest things, always ask for clarification, because, and yes, LLMs hallucinate and think. That was very fun. One of the tests, what was it? I had somehow my GitHub integration broke because I did a refactoring and my Claude Code said, it's all fine. So my GitHub integration broke, and it's very funny because my GitHub project called the Quest for Quality. So the URL is called questforquality.something something GitHub. So it took the URL and it didn't tell me, I couldn't read I couldn't have access. No, it told me, so we're going on a quest for quality. So maybe we should begin our quest with something. And I was like, what's happening here? So it's also, they are there for pleasing. It still asks me in the end, so which quest are you on? It's just like, at least you got that point, you got the clarification. But yeah, it's we also put a lot, and I've seen that with like Claude. I literally take screenshots now because I did a big refactoring, and it said, yeah, all working. And then I continued one, and I was like, nah, that doesn't look all working. Please check your implementation. Oh yeah, you're right. I found critical bug 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all right. Okay. And then again, now your what did it say? Your refactoring is 100% through. And I was like, okay, let's check it again. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed something here, and I missed and actually what we figured out last week, it actually swears as well. So it's like, it has some swearing in it. It's like, I will not say that right now because I don't want to blank out, but yeah, it tests as well. And Wizzo really tries. Again, it's an LLM nature because, and I think what's very important, I think we haven't covered this yet. You can also, like, when you use the LLMs, you have to be a prompt engineer, if you're very honest. Right? You have to know how to talk to this. And Wizzo, you don't need to. And that one of the biggest feedbacks I always got in the calls I had was like, I could just say something and it already understood. Like, I didn't need to prompt it. That was one of the biggest things we always get back, because prompt engineering is hard, because all of these, the LLM tools, all of them are different. All of them have different keywords. All of them treat it a little bit different. Then you can have project instructions. You can have project knowledge. You can have MD files. And we really try to make it in the way that you don't have to prompt. That you need to give us context. So either you cannot do anything before you're not creating your own product or use our Wizzo product in there. And then you need some context because, like you said, garbage in, garbage out. We eliminated that by, instead of that you can just start, like how in JetGPT, we want you to do some stuff to eliminate that garbage situation. Right? So, but yeah, it's a fun and bubblegum for the AI workflows. And yeah, I would love to talk to the Claude Code generator or to the Claude AI people. And it's like, it's nice that you create everything with Claude, but please don't forget the people who use you since over 1.5 years, because now they go up like crazy, and I use them the whole time. I've been on stages and always say, I advertise for Claude. But they're forgetting currently their other personas, their early adopter persona, I guess.
I think they need to integrate Wizzo.
They actually use Slack. I know they use Slack, so I'm actually looking. I have to figure out how to get to them. A lot of these.
I think there's a use case. Well, I mean, I've got the tweet. I've got the tweet from the creator of Claude. So if you want me to, I'll share that with you, and then you can contact him directly via Twitter. Oh no, sorry, X.
Ooh.
X.
Yeah, that's also not accessible.
Before we go on, I have a question. When it was called Twitter, you would tweet, right? Because it was a bird. Now it's called X. What do you do?
Xing.
X, is that what it is?
Maybe?
Xing.
I don't know.
I've just X'd. That's rubbish, isn't it?
You know who took I don't want to go into politics, but you know who took it over. So.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
Anyway. Yeah. We did an episode on Managed by Morons, and that is one there, people. So, Christine, I want to get into what your journeys look like since the last time we spoke, because clearly a huge amount has happened, right? And I'm sure that there's been a lot of learnings, and the thing that I'm really sort of keen on understanding as we sort of talk through this is, with how quickly AI has moved and reinvented itself and evolved over the last 12 months, how on earth have you all kept up with it? As well as develop a product that's utilizing AI in the way that it's being utilized. So you're evolving it, you're adapting it, whilst AI itself is evolving and bringing, what does that journey look like?
It's been a journey. It's been rough. It's not that easy because there are literally articles every day. So I'm lucky that my co-founder and partner, Aaron, is very much on these articles. So he's really checking every day also a lot of these articles and then re-speaking about that. I'm not the avid reader, always reading them also. I actually also sometimes cheat and just put it into an LLM and let me summarize that as well. Yep. And if it sounds good, I'm going to look into this. I'm going a lot from a couple of people I have on LinkedIn. So a couple of people on LinkedIn, especially who did the MCP, like who were really behind the MCP from the beginning on, who learned all of these things. I'm following them. I'm very honest. I also follow the YouTube channels from OpenAI and from Claude, because they share sometimes very interesting things as well, especially when these announcements are coming. These videos are like, I think 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm always listening to this. And then I'm thinking, and then I go to my LLM back and say, hey, now we have this. Does it make sense for us to introduce that first? But like, I love the skills, like some of the Claude skills. I have different Claude skills. They're very nice. I have, I don't have OpenClaw yet. So that's currently on my list to do. We really try to carve out every week a couple of hours, maybe even half a day, where I can try things out. Because if you don't try it out, it's just gonna run over to you. Especially like MCP, like gave such a boost to me because, and it's just one, for example, one MCP server I use every day at least 20, 30 times is the database MCP server. My Claude code can directly communicate and check and change everything in my database. And that has been so much easier. It's so nice. It's like, it's just, yes, I could run these, and I know I can run the SQL statements, and I can use also the CLI and everything, but it just does it. And it just gives me all the analytics. I don't have to think about it. But yeah, the journey started with very simple. I just used Claude. I think Claude code came out in the summer, if I remember correctly, a little bit, roughly around this time. So before that, I had basically a JetGPT open, I had a Claude open. At some point came a GitHub integration for both of them. So I had them actually connected to my code. And then I basically, okay, I know now what we want to do. I had a lot of documentation on my other side because, and that's still what they do badly when it comes down to project setups, at least at that point, did not work well out. Like I couldn't start my project because it was a Slack app. I never programmed a Slack app in my life before. It's actually very easy when you understand, but if you just try to cheat, it doesn't work. So foundation, still in general, you need to know your foundation. What I did, I learned with both of the tools, the foundation. I literally, okay, it doesn't work. Give me the right courses. And then from there, I analyzed the code and then basically always switched back and forth. Then came Claude Code. So I was directly integrated. I love the terminal. I'm not sure if, like, since I'm using the terminal, I have really problems using Claude's or JetGPT's UI. I'm not sure if you have that feeling as well, because it's so much easier when you have like a slash, I don't know, MCP, a slash versus in the UI, because it's more customer facing, like more non-developer facing. You have to ask, okay, can you connect to my MCP server? /MCP, I see it, we authenticate, boom, done, finished. Yeah. It's just so much faster. And I integrated a lot of MCP servers. I'm still, basically, I looked in which tools I'm using. So I used my Superbase database. I have Notion. I have LinkedIn. I have, what were the other? I have my calendar and my emails. So I looked at, okay, what information do I need to do my job? So I looked up a lot, and also the MCP libraries as well. What can I see there? How can I fix this? Yeah, there was a lot trying out and failing.
Trying
out and failing. Yeah, it's a lot, and even then, it was being months of like every time it works, I was like, yeah, it works. I'm so happy. But then the interesting thing is when MCP came along, everybody jumped on. But you can clearly see people who do I can now see people who do a good MCP server to people who do a garbage MCP server. So it's really. Like, and to name a garbage one, the Webflow. Right? Our website is hosted on Webflow, and it shouldn't be so difficult to just give me the classes that I can check. Oh my God, this tool has cost me nightmares. Anybody who does QA at Webflow, please look at your Webflow MCP server. It's costing me nightmares. So difficult.
You've been told.
Yeah, you've been told. Then after MCP came this whole like, okay, how can you use multiple agents? Not just one agent, but multiple agents. So I started also, and the interesting, what I love is marketing of these LLM tools. I'm not sure, like, a lot of these things they're now selling as new innovations, been around for a long, long time. The Codex, I think now you have work trees. Yeah, work trees are just Git trees, nothing else, which been along for a long, long time. But now you don't need to know how to set up a Git tree anymore. No, you can call it work tree and just click on the button. So before Codex had this even, I already started working with Git trees because I followed a YouTuber who always shares like Claude Code stuff. I forgot what his name was. And basically, I started to have different Git trees. So that was the next. So from normal programming to different Git trees that you can actually, because the problem is if you run the same Claude instance on the same just tree, basically, or the same branch, they're gonna have problems with each other. And what happens is not that one stops and the other one's they're trying to both change it, and then what happens is that they each other deleting each other's code. I had that multiple times. I was like, I didn't commit something, and then in another chat, I already started something, and then it commits, and I was like, I look at this commit, it's like, there's something missing here. What's going on here? It's like, oh yeah, there were unpublished changes. It's like, okay, why did you just delete it? In my Claude MD, it says clearly, don't delete stuff. So yeah, that was Kit 3 came then. And then the next step was parallel sub-agents. So that's also very good because it helps you, especially when you have multiple options. So I'm most of the times I'm using parallel sub-agents in the debug. Because I think, okay, it might be, maybe it's the endpoint. Maybe it's, so I'm always, and it's very important. Now, I think the newest Claude version has that already integrated. Before, you still had to tell it. Hey, it was, like I said, it was a learning curve, learning the key words you have to use, learning, say, use parallel sub-agents when possible. I think how often I use this is very fascinating. And then from parallel sub-agents comes now soon OpenClaw, but one thing which also accelerated my work, and I looked at this and I was never sure, do I really need this? But now, especially, all of us speak very fast. So what I started having is in AI, voice tool. So basically I'm speaking and it transcribes my speaking. That accelerated the last, I'm using this now, I think since 2 or 3 weeks. That accelerated. And I can say it's Whisperflow. I like this tool because it's very also going towards technical terms. Most of my technical terms are actually correct. And the speed I'm working now, because I can speak so much faster than I can type, top notch. So that's the current last evolution of this. So set up a Claude code or a codex, have Git trees, use parallel sub-agents. Like I said, I'm not sure if they now already have that in it or not. And then use think hard, ultra think. Be careful that it uses more tokens. Is also very important. That's why you reach, like me, always the weekly limiter very far, like most of the times a day, like half a day before. And then now the next step, I guess, and I have to look into this, is how do you use them 24/7? Even if I am not sold on that yet, to be very honest, because I also don't want it to solve so much stuff without me, because especially when you have a QA lens that we all have, like I'm correcting the agent, even if I spent a lot of time in the PRDs up front, I'm still correcting it during the flow all the time. So I'm still reading after. It always has to, I also made it clear in my MD. So Claude MD files are also very important. I have a Claude MD file, to-do MD file. I have a bugs MD file, architecture MD file, and decisions MD file, where it's basically you put all the important stuff it has to check in these files, because you cannot put everything in Claude MD, because if it's too long, it takes even more token, because every time you start a new terminal, I learned this all tokenization. Otherwise, you'll end up with $50,000 or something in a bill of something. You put this, it's very technical terms, but if you put too much, it just doesn't work. So you have to like reference all of these documents, and it works quite well, I think. Also, big shout out, I'm using Marvin as well. That is a Claude personal assistant, basically, who helps you also work on this. It's from Sterling, from Postman. Sterling Chen, if I remember. He created Marvin. I'm still learning how to work with Marvin, but Marvin also now helped me a little bit to keep on track, because it's basically an assistant parallel to your project, and you can update it. That helps you, especially how I am. I have 4 chat Git trees at the same time. I'm sometimes losing a little bit of track what is what. So I can ask Marvin, hey, okay, what was I working on these ones as well? That's also a trick. Yeah, that's my setup, I think, most of it. I have literally everything connected. I have my Google Cloud server connected, my AWS server connected. I have my database connected. I have my Slack connected. Yeah, and everything runs out of terminal because I hate UIs. So it's
one very, very important question, Christine, that I know the audience is like wanting you to answer. How many screens do you have?
Oh, that's right. I only have one. No, I have only one.
One screen.
I have only my laptop screen. That is but I have the virtual desktop. So I have, when I go up here right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that's not all. Normally I have 6 to 7 virtual screens. I think that's what it's called in Mac. But I have only one screen because, and I have to be very honest, we have a very small apartment, and there's literally no space for additional screens here. It's like it's very tight and packed. But it's also okay. I think, I don't know, because if it would always be just running. I maybe optimize.
I just had this image in my head that you had like this huge setup. You know, like when you go into like what's an airport, and they've got all these screens going on, and it's just you sitting there like this, just looking at one screen.
Like advertisement screens going around a football stadium.
Yeah.
That's my screen. Yeah, that's all I have.
Look at that. Look at those those good-looking guys there. Do you see those two good?
Not much more.
Amazing.
It's just that.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
But it works. Look, I have to kudos to also Mac so far with running like everything. I definitely have to charge more, so I barely can take the charging off because having these parallel sub agents running, it's a lot of. It's not so loud, but it's causing the battery definitely to drain. But
yeah,
it works well. I'm very impressed, especially also now looking into these all. Pretty sure a lot of the listeners also heard like now all these mini Mac thingies everybody buys as well. So I have not yet thought about buying that. I don't know if I want, like I said, do I want a coding agent running 24/7? I don't want that because I want the oversight, to be very honest. And also what it's like, if it does so like million lines, like what it happens, it runs overnight. And then in the morning you look at this and you still spend all these hours to check that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So in that time, you cannot do anything else. So while I'm awake, like in the morning, I start this, but I start 3 parallel ones. So the first one, most of the times, one of them already had its PID from the day before. So then it can't start working. So the next one, then I'm working on the PID. The other one works on the debugging. So they're working on 3 different things, but I'm still in charge. Whereas when I'm not there because I'm sleeping, what is happening then? Eh? So it's
about. So you're on an interesting point there. I think it's about setting boundaries. Like we have to set boundaries within our lives as individuals and the different things we want to do. So, we talked about AI's there to optimize us as individuals within the work that we do. So, if we can use it within the work hours that we're working when we're present, that helps us optimize when we're there to make the final choice or the decision and gain the understanding rather than that working in the background when we're not really aware, So I think like boundaries is really the key to how we use it intelligently as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I think you've been on a really interesting journey, and you've mentioned so much there from a technical capacity. Like there's been so many trials and tribulations, and you've had ups and downs, but through that you've had some fantastic learnings. But I think one of the other questions I would definitely want to touch on is, when you first come onto our podcast, you are speaking, about the importance of community and how important that's going to be in, driving your vision and all of these ideas forward. So, you've had like nearly a 12-month period now since you were last on. In that time, like, what would you say was kind of your biggest learnings from community and, like bringing people together? Like, what were some of the challenges and stuff that you faced as well?
Yeah, that is a good question. It's still a growing. So I'm not a community manager. I definitely realized that. So I'm not that always good in like what other people are doing, like always activities every day, informing everybody. We're still startup founders. So I will also be honest, say that now definitely we learned in our time that if I don't keep people updated, they're checking out. And it's just what it is. We had periods. We started this whole community. We are now in our ETQ community Slack by 88 people. But it has been phases where I was so deep, like learning all these programs, I haven't been able to catch up with them and keep them up to date. Now, and I have to think about how long are we running this now? Since I think October. I think since October, basically we're having our council meetings. So every 2 weeks, which we meet together and have these conversations that keeps me quite a lot of in check, but it also keeps me remembering, okay, I keep them updated, these people, but also I keep the community updated as well. And that really changed. The moment we did that a little bit more, we also got more flow. Then we had a beta test. So I have to say the community is, I wouldn't want to miss them, but much more I hated them as well, because it's not easy. It's not, I understand why a lot of companies might not go this way, because yes, it's hard to put out prototypes, to hear honest feedback. And yes, I will be very honest. We did a 4-week for prototype feedback. We did the alpha testing calls, beta testing calls. We did also in between, what did that called? I think just testing in general, I would say. And before the launch was also testing. And sometimes reading these messages is not so easy. Hey? It's like, you read this, you bring out, I was taught by also these startup entrepreneurs, it's not your baby. Yeah. So because you shouldn't sell your baby, but sometimes it feels like a baby. So, but I am so grateful for all of this because it helped me. And that's really what I think made the difference. It helped me to break my own biases. It helped me to see other angles and to make Wizzo into something which is not just for me. Right? If it would have just not be for me, I might have already released it in May or something. But it's for us all. We really worked a lot with all of them to implement the feedback, to also figure out the feedback. I had calls about feedback with them. It's like, I misunderstood that. So what is this actually doing? How are you working? So we really tried to put this all in. I'm so like these calls, and I don't like, how can I sell this? These BYK calls are not like they're not, we're laughing more and we're having more sometimes other chit chat around than actually have, like Aaron and I always do an agenda. Okay, this is the things we want to talk about. We're barely getting to this agenda because we just also we just have a coffee chat with other testers who just also want to, like, they are all, and I really appreciate that they're all in it for the ride. Hey, they all also want a better tool. They all want to help us. And these chats are just also very fun sometimes. I forgot, we used to have also icebreakers, so like a funny question in the beginning. We don't do this anymore because now we know each other. Hey, it's also community grows and community gets, like, when I met you both on Test Batch 2024, was still like, oh yeah, okay, we are vibing, it's okay. But then in 2025, we knew each other already. Yeah, there was a way the communication just runs better. So that's also what I had to learn, that I cannot immediately think about, okay, now I have a community, now there are people, now this has to work. No, it grows organically. Hey, it grows organically, how we behave with each other. If I don't inform, then why would they inform me? And the graduation party we had, it's not just, we don't just have the graduation party, we also gotten a lot of we call it testimonials, but I would more call it like congrats videos. And we literally teared up watching them. We teared because people were congratulating us. People who sometimes, and I saw something, but it's just like had a call with us. Like some people, just like Jenna Carlton was just with me and having a conversation about test management tool. Lisa Crispin, which is an idol for me, had a lot of LinkedIn chats with me about this. She came to the graduation party because for me, she was also part of this. I met her when she was for the HL testing days in Potsdam, and I had small chats, and these like little things kept me up. Also, you two, when we saw in 2020, like when we were at Test Batch 2025, it wasn't easy. Hey, we've been through that journey for over a year. We haven't launched yet. It wasn't easy for us. The journey has been rough. Right? Being a startup founder, you question yourself, but how startups are failing is when you stop believing. And the community gave us that belief every time. Every time we also were like, oh, okay, does it actually make sense? Does anybody want this? But when you have these calls, or when you have like not just the council calls, but also just alpha calls, every time these like smiles, these like small, like I'm pretty sure a lot of these people didn't even think about that. This small, like, oh yeah, that's cool. That has quite a lot of effect on us as well, because we kept on going. So I am very grateful for our ETQ community. We are open for anybody. You can just join us. I'm pretty sure we're going to drop a link in the description below or somewhere.
We'll be dropping lots of links from this chat.
Yeah,
Christine.
Lots of links below. Join us, because it's really, this is, and I said that on Test Batch stage, I say it everywhere, that is something for testers, by testers, because I believe that makes the difference, because I don't want to create a tool I don't want to use. And all of these test management tools, and I will be very honest, I'm pretty sure you agree, are created by stakeholders, POs, who thought about, maybe it's good to use, I don't even know, 15 clicks to create a test case. And it's not even that. It's also the idea of what it is, of this like stale, how we did it in the 90s, or maybe in the early 2000s, but not, we're developing so fast and we need something better. And I'm grateful for my community. I'm grateful for all the things they did. I'm grateful for how they supported us, how I'm pretty sure it's the reason why I got an award in QA innovation from a test management tool provider is also because of the community as well. So I'm it's been a ride, and I'm so glad that it also grew. It's grown with us. We have different, like you are also part of the community. I also know you have 5,000 other Slack chats, but when you are there, you also speak with us, and and I completely appreciate. I had to learn this as well. Hey, it's for a lot of people, it's not employment. Hey, for us, it's our whole life, but not for them. but they also are very invested. I had to also learn that investment shows also, what is it called in overexcitement. Hey, like sometimes things don't work how I believe they should work, because people are excited and share things. That's good. I had to learn, it's like, that's good that people share these things, because I want to also have it out. And that's also a big learning curve. I'm everybody who's in the community, they know we have a big, and I have to say, we have a page on our website, which Aaron designed and put it out, called Community. And most, I think, all of the community people are in there somewhere with a picture. And on all, like, we didn't use any, and these unsplash, like everywhere where we have pictures, we're using our community in these pictures. So also you are there somewhere. You just have to find yourself, because that's what we are. We are the result of so many people wanting to change the current situation, that it's just not, we don't want to have it anymore like this. We want to have it better.
Love that. Again, I've been writing down points as you've been speaking, so here we go. Whistle stop to so and actually these, in my opinion, and anyway, used, and the audience might think differently, but they loop back round, even though they weren't in an order when I wrote them down. So, when we were talking there, you mentioned about typical LLMs that everybody uses. And I've wrote down there that typical LLMs don't necessarily focus on the accountability aspect. So they're there just to drive something forward. Whereas Wizzo actually holds us accountable, but it holds us accountable through understanding over just activity. So it's not just saying, here you go, here's what you asked for. It's asking you, basically, do you understand this? Is there anything more I can give you? And then to that point as well, like, you mentioned there about the community and the support that they give here in obviously developing Wizzo. So it's almost like Wizzo is there to, guide us and be about that understanding. So as you were the founder building out Wizzo, the community was your Wizzo.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because they were there to gauge your understanding and ask you the questions and give you information. And it's not always what we want to hear, but it's ultimately how we grow. So they were your Wizzo, building the Wizzo, if that makes sense. And
it's why Chris is the brains. Chris is the brains of this podcast. You can see, definitely. I don't know what I am, but Chris is definitely the brains.
And then I had another point that I wrote down, like, you were talking about it earlier, and I just didn't want to interrupt the flow. But again, I thought you mentioned something really good. Like, so I've wrote down, like, LLMs are made for us by normal, like, the companies and organizations that are going after trying to sell a product like anything else out there. And they're developing it for the market, that human, like, community that's out there. And like you mentioned, we have to interact with all of the LLMs differently, and that gets confusing in how we ask the questions and things like that. But with Wizzo, it's been built by the community, so it understands us and our human-centric language. We don't have to understand prompt engineering for all of these different AI solutions. It understands us as human beings and how we best communicate. So it's a switch. We're not trying to understand it understands us. So that was it.
Well said. Very well said. I think it's also what somebody wrote is that a lot of people create tools for testers just by reading about QA problems.
Yeah.
And then they try to solve it. Versus we actually, I lived a lot of these QA problems, but again, that would have been only just my view. I talked to so many people who had these QA problems as well. And they brought their experience, their knowledge, their solutions as well. A lot of them have a lot of solutions, how we can, like, personas, or like, we focused so much on accessibility, integration, and security, not just functional, because functional, the generic LLMs give you tons of functional tests, but again, the people who are behind, like, who use your product might also have security concerns, might have an integration, might have accessibility issues, Or again, the law also requires you to be accessible. Right? That's very, very good. So we have to bring these things in. But yeah, the accountability I like. Yeah, it's definitely, and I have to take that term. The community was our Wizzo to create Wizzo. I love that one. That's very, very good. Yeah.
So Christine, I'm gonna give you a sales pitch here. Do you need a salesperson? So I think Chris is doing a pretty good job here to start building out these sales pitches. So I'm his agent. Okay. So if, obviously I can come up with a good deal for you if you do need a salesperson. I only take 50% of his salary. It's fine. But yeah.
Well, I have to be very honest. The salary is 0 because that's what I get as a salary right now as well.
That's fine. I'm happy to take 0.
The thing is, though, right? Good products don't need salespeople, right?
They sell themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's the key. Hearing about your journey and your experience and all of your learnings, it's captivating, right? It gets you involved. Like, you can understand what you've went through, the highs and the lows. So you become like emotionally behind the product. So it's been really nice to, hear that 12-month journey and the different aspects to it. But yeah, absolutely. Obviously, like I said, good products sell themselves.
So that's the goal.
So Christine, if people want to try Wizzo out, what options do they have to get their hands dirty with it and experiment?
That's a good question. We have a sandbox. So basically, it's called Wizzo Sandbox, if I remember correctly. It's linked on our website as well. There's a big button called Sandbox, and then you can just go on there.
There is. I'm looking at it now. It's there.
Yeah, it's a big button, and it explains a little bit because everybody has a little bit different understanding of what a sandbox is. So that's why we have a little explanation page as well, and also how you can contact us. It's a Slack workspace where Wizzo is installed and where we have 6 test products. So it's real products, like the same one I always use. It's Airbnb, Amazon, Uber, but also Wizzo itself. And we are there to be your team. So Aaron and I are in this group as well. So when people join, they can either start a quality party with us to just see that. They can also have a companion chat with Wizzo. And the good thing is really, you can create also your own product. It's not a problem. We are cleaning the environment. We have to still figure out how often, every 3 or 4 weeks, depending on how many products, or you can just use the products which are there and then have your companion mode. And then you want to try out how it's actually work in team. Well, you have a PO and you have a CEO and a CTO all there. We jump on and have a conversation in a quality party with you, and then you can see it. And that's basically the best way to do it, because I understand that not everybody, like some workspaces don't allow immediately Slack apps to be installed for somebody else. And also B, you might want to test it out before you add it to your thing. That's why we created that sandbox, which is very, just try it out. You can also see, and we were very creative when we created this whole website. I have to shout that out because it's very, like, Aaron put a lot of effort in this. And it's also, we gotten very creative. If you've seen some of these screenshots, it's specific people for like Obi-Wan and Leia talking to each other, or Hermione and Harry talking to each other. So we have also we have built up messages, chats are also already in there that you can also see how other people had it as well. So that's the main goal.
And look, we've got to give a shout out to Aaron. I know he won't come on the podcast because he's too shy, but we love Aaron. Right, so shout out.
I do love Aaron as well.
Yeah. I know you love Aaron. I hope you love Aaron anyway. But we definitely love Aaron. So next time we have to get Aaron on the podcast.
Then we can do it a little bit more businessy. Then we have to talk about the thing is always, it's so funny when Aaron, like, people also now writing him feedback as well, and he is not a formally educated tester, but through the journey he definitely learned a lot. And I believe, like, when he does design testing, when he sees a lot. He sees a lot. He did also some testing games when we did meetups and stuff. He sees all of these things, and he's definitely also a good tester, but he has not like the technical knowledge and the technical stuff because he hasn't been experienced, but he's getting to be like a informal tester. And we have even some people like Preeti in our community went through the whole process with, okay, how do I write a test case? How do I have a test plan? That when people come back to him and give him feedback that he knows this, but he looks at this as like, Christine, I don't know what that means. Like, what is this? What is this, like, with parameters and stuff like this? But in the same way, also, I like, he has so much business knowledge, and we need this as well because it needs to work as a business well. But also, he has all this knowledge how we can put in customers in there. How can we, like, I call customer, but it's in the end users as well. So, but he became, I think, an honorable tester for all of us. Everybody as test batch definitely also loved him as well. And he comes to all the conferences with me now as well. So yeah, he definitely he fits well in our quirky, weird groups. That's it.
Absolutely does. Yeah, he absolutely does. So yeah, I couldn't go for the show without giving a shout out to Aaron. So that's it. Chris, have you got any more sort of words of wisdom that are like flowing around in your brain right now? Like,
I think I'm all out.
You're exhausted.
I think we've done it's a job well done. One thing I was going to ask Christine, obviously I'm conscious of time, and I want to give an opportunity for Christine to give part and message, but we haven't done this in a while, and we did do it with you last time you were on. So I'll give you the option. You can either choose that our next guest on the podcast or community. It's up to you which one you go for, but to leave a question for the community or our next guest, anything you would like to ask, and we will carry that forward for you.
Oh, that's an interesting point. So they basically have to answer this question.
They do.
Then I would say, have you ever felt alone as a QA in your team? To ask the question about how can we keep up quality, something like this. Like, have you ever felt alone in your team? That's, I think, a very important question I ask myself always.
Yeah, it's a really good question as well. I think the emotional aspect of that question as well is so relevant at the minute with AI being so prevalent around with that, it brings it back to how does things make us feel. So yeah, it's
not just, we could have a whole conversation about this, how solo QA syndrome and all the other stuff, because yes, it is, we are, and we've seen it, more and more people are replaced by AI, but there's still at least one person still left, and that's then the isolation with LLMs trying to replace you and basically do everything for you. But then you have Wizzo, who is there to still help you, be your second brain or your thinking partner. That's why that was the goal. But yeah, I know a lot of people still feel that. So it is good for your next guest to answer that question, to show the community that they're not alone in that. I think that's very, very important, because yes, I also felt a lot of time alone.
I think it's such a powerful question. I think we'll ask the next guest their experience, but I think it's worth probably putting it out there and getting the engagement from the community as well. And just, getting people's different thoughts and views as well, get people talking. But yeah, thank you so much for the time that you've given to us, and thanks for sharing your journey and building that relationship with us over the years. You touched on all the points that we've met, but it's been lovely to hear your experience going through it and all of the key learnings. And obviously we wish you, Wizzo, and the business all the success going forward, and we will keep our eyes and ears peeled for what's next and how things continue to grow. But that's all from me, but I'll hand over to you, Christine, if you want to say anything or some parting words, and then I'll let Stu tie things up. But like I say, thanks very much.
Thank you for inviting me again. I love to chat with you both. I love the flowing conversation. I think now again over an hour talked about, and it doesn't feel like this at all.
Not at all.
I hope the listeners are also enjoying our back and forth and conversation in that.
I'm sorry, Christine. They're already gone. They're playing with Wizzo right now. They're not listening anymore. They're smashing it out, right? So yeah,
they're smashing it out. Well, I think the parting words is that I really believe in community. You too create a community through your listeners. Other people create a community. Every community is unique, and I don't think that any community is replaced by another community. Find your community, get engaged, try out our community, see how you can actually influence a product which can be used in your daily life to also enjoy that. See how this can be in a startup, because not everybody tried out the startup and it's lovely and fun. And yeah, try out Wizzo and our Sandbox, join our community, and have fun by turning team discussions into clear and reliable test suites.
What a way to wrap it up. That's all I can say. So the message, people, is go out there and try Wizzo. End of. That's the message, right? Go out there, experiment with the Sandbox, get in contact with Christine, join the community. I'm definitely going to go and have a play. Definitely going to go and have a nosy. I've got some ideas of what we can call this episode now as well from this conversation. So I've been writing some stuff down. I'll obviously share them with you, Christine, before we title it. But I've got some great ideas for that as well. So, but that is the end of the episode. I think we've run exactly the same time as the last episode we did with you, Christine. So we've hit the mark there. So yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Christine, again for joining. It's always lovely to have you on. We're definitely going to be getting you on more, I think, over the coming months. Yeah, definitely. But that's it for another episode of the Quality Talks podcast. So we hope you enjoy it. As we say, go and try Wizzo out. Don't be that lone tester. Wizzo will be your partner in crime if you need it to be. Make sure you come back and join us on another episode of the Quality Talks podcast. Take care for now.